Welcome, everybody. Clown Planet Daily Wrap Up, 20th of August, 2025. Happy St. Bernard Day. Let's get right to it. Bills fans are angry. Let's start in sports. The team owner, Terry and Kim Pegula, drive around in their mega yacht worth nearly $100 million, while taxpayers are paying at least $850 million for the team's new stadium. Again, there was even here in Charlotte, they were trying to do some add-ons on the stadium, and one congresswoman stood up and said no, which is fantastic. Because again, these guys are billionaires. You can build your own stadium if you like. And then they hold the city hostage, leave, and then they leave the stadium in the middle, and the city has to pay for it for the next 10 years. So yeah, I'd be upset too if I was a person in Buffalo that was paying the tab on that. We reported yesterday that Bret Baier got arrested. He actually posted that in there. His TikTok video, I guess. Bret Baier responds to the viral video of him being pulled over. Well, he wasn't arrested, he was just pulled over by D.C. police amid their crackdown. Baier was given a $50 ticket for picking up his phone and says from now on, maybe he'll just take the metro. Nobody's above the law in D.C. right now. Baier was a good sport about the situation. Picked up his cell phone, $50 ticket. Again, sure, okay, it's distracted. You pick a cell phone. I'm scared of I remember riding a bike down the road one day, and there's no sidewalks, and I was terrified because I used to ride a bike when I was a kid all the time. Never thought about it but people don't pay attention. They're on their cell phone. You can look at other cars and see people tweeting, texting while driving. So I understand that, South Carolina just put a thing out too, making it not a misdemeanor, but it was a big fine if you get caught using your phone in a car driving. Let's get to the war news. Why not? War, baby. IDF to call up 60,000 reservists for Gaza City. Israeli attacks kill 72 more Palestinians across Gaza. Libyan official in talks with Israel to resettle Palestinians. Hostage families want Gaza ceasefire deal. Lebanon, Israel wants UNIFIL peacekeepers out. Trump may back Euro troops in Ukraine by air. India's Modi hails friend Putin, boosts China ties in tilt from U.S. And the U.S. deploys 3 destroyers near Venezuela because we're on a peace program right now. North Korea says it will accelerate the nuclear program because, Israel, no, who is it? Iran's not allowed to have a nuke, but North Korea is totally fine with that. Thank you, man. School. Yeah, actually, I have a story on the Ten Commandments here in just a moment, going in Texas. So good eye on that. If that's what you were talking about with Texas, that's coming up here in a minute. Buddhist monks call for Trump to receive the Nobel Peace Prize for a role in ending their conflict. Cambodian monks are calling for President DJT's nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize in between bombing. And I guess we put a pause on Somalia bombing. Maybe it's just we ran out. We're taking some time off. It's halftime, maybe. I don't know. Federal Judge Berman rejects DOJ's request to unseal Epstein transcripts. Color me shocked. Berman presided over the case concerning Ghislaine Maxwell. Again, color me shocked. This was August 18th right here in the video. Epstein update will receive documents very soon. Representative James Comer said DOJ tells oversight it will hand over Epstein-related records this Friday. That was on Monday. Judge rejects DOJ's request to unseal transcripts Wednesday. Fight the Trump takeover. Hundreds protest recent Trump administration actions in San Francisco. And the key word in this is hundreds. San Francisco is a pretty big city. Hundreds protest. Great protest, guys. Hundreds. The only thing that would have been better is like dozens protested. In New York sues Zelle. What to know about the alleged 1 billion scams over the app. If you have the Zelle app, this is about that. And actually, we had something like this happen to us a couple months ago. New York Attorney General Letitia James announced a lawsuit against the company that developed Zelle, the online payment app used by several major banks that allows users to quickly transfer funds to one another, alleging that fraudsters stole a total of $1 billion from consumers because developers failed to implement security features. Shocker. 4,000 troops and 4,500,000 militiamen want what to know about the US-Venezuela standoff. There's 3 U.S. Navy destroyers have deployed off the waters of Venezuela. Washington and Caracas broke off formal bilateral diplomatic relations 2019 during DJT's first term. The U.S. government has now recognized Maduro's last 2 electoral victories, and the Trump administration has repeatedly called for Maduro's presidency illegitimate because they don't like him. That's the only reason. It's because he's not a bootlicker. He's not their guy. Because remember, the guy in El Salvador who is a legitimate dictator, evil human, Trump has actually said that's my favorite dictator. Depends on it's who your friends are. It's all politics. Who just said something, and before you get excited about the laws and Talmudic and the death penalty attached to breaking those laws. Okay, yeah, and trust me, yeah, there's not a lot to get. What happened? Not a lot to get excited about, but do I like it right there or right there? We'll put it over here. Macron, why I had to sue U.S. influencer Candace Owens. French president says he's defending his honor after the right-wing political commentator peddled the conspiracy theory that his wife Bridget was born a man. But I think his wife was his teacher. I think he's 20 or 30 years his senior. Phone searches at the U.S. border hit a record high. Customs and Borders Protection agents searched nearly 15,000 devices from April to June of this year, a nearly 17% spike over the previous 3-month high in 2022. Interactive ICE detention map shows 71% of detainees have no criminal record. Again, we're going after the evil guys. But, if they happen to be citizens, as long as they're brown and speak Spanish, we have no problem with it. 5 years ago, Congress required U.S. ICE to begin publishing detailed statistics on its detainees every 2 weeks. The data contained in a downloadable spreadsheet at the bottom of the detention management page on ICE's website details everything from the facilities where immigrants are held to the lengths of their detainment. Of all the statistics in the spreadsheet, this may be the most telling. Of the 46,113 individuals detained by ICE, 71% have no criminal record. I wonder how many of those are actually citizens, too. Nebraska announces plan for immigration detention center dubbed the Cornhusker Clink. This is not the Onion or the Babylon Bee. This is the AP. So you got everyone's coming up with these funky names. Indianapolis was the Speedway Slammer or something like that. You got Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. Then the Detention Depot was the second one they're wanting. Nebraska Cornhusker Clink. We're going down to the Cornhusker Clink. Sorry, I don't have a Nebraskan accent on that. I don't know what to pull off. Lincoln, Nebraska. By the way, did you know something about Lincoln? That big tower there. Apparently, Hitler wanted to take over Lincoln because of that, or wanted the rule from that tower or something like that. Nebraska announced plans Tuesday for an immigration detention center in the remote southwest corner of the state as once a future President DJT administration races to expand the infrastructure necessary for increasing deportations. The facility will be dubbed the Cornhusker Clink, a play on Nebraska's nickname of the Cornhusker State and the old slang term for jail. The alternative name follows. Well, I already did all that. Josh already beat you to that punch. Locals weigh in on the rising cost of vegetables. In Santa Barbara, California, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 38% surge in the wholesale price of vegetables in July. This is the biggest spike for any product category month to month. It's insane. That's why I'm growing a lot more myself this year, which you should do anyways. Rhodes says she's saving money by cutting out the middleman. Duh. You don't get any garbage sprayed on it when you do it yourself. Economists say terrorist weather and supply chain issues could be to blame for the rising cost of vegetables, but it remains to be seen if this is the beginning of a long-term trend that will translate to higher prices at the stores. Now, again, it's not perfect condition, because like an onion, for example, you have to you have to have a decent bit of if you like cooking with onions, you got to keep strategically burying the seeds, growing on that, and it depends on what kind of onion you get. A short day or long day, depending on where you were at. And I mean, it takes a while for it to grow. That's why tomatoes should be easy to do. Potatoes, easy. Green onions, bunch of onions, perfect. Those are real easy. Basil, oregano, rosemary, things like that. Piece of cake. Melons. I got Kajari out there. That thing has grown 8 feet. That's an 8-foot vine back there right now. I planted that thing a couple weeks ago. It is. I can't wait to have one of those things. Again, you can grow things that the grocery store doesn't have. I've had 2 watermelons in the last month from my backyard. Occupy DC. 6 GOP states send National Guard to Washington as outcry grows over Trump power grab. 6 states send National Guard. Again, we went over this yesterday. The National Guard of each state is the state's army. The state nation. The state is a nation. It's their army. There's no reason the state's militia has to go to D.C., especially when D.C. has its own militia. The 10-mile square. What do you need 6 states sending it up there? South Park heads to the militarized D.C. in next episode. Then we'll skip another week. Washington, D.C. is under siege in the 3rd episode of the Comedy Central's 27th season, which is undertaking another scheduled trip. So they got Tally. Oh, again, I wish I could watch. I bet that'd be hysterical. But so Tally goes to DC and militarized zone in DC. That's kind of fun. That's funny. NATO scrambles warplanes as Russia launches brutal strikes less than a mile from the border. The targeting of oil and port facilities in Izmail, Odessa region was close to the river Danube, which is the Ukrainian border with allied state Romania. This is after the whole talking and all that from the last week. That happened this morning. Russia warns there will be no peace and threatens to seize more of Ukraine. Russia still has every chance to end this war on its own terms, a military expert in Russia warned, as fighting continues despite a push for peace. Armed drones to be deployed at schools to stop mass shootings. So that's not Ukraine. It's not Russia. This is your local high school, junior high, whatever they call them now, elementary schools, etc. Drone technology that assists responders to school shootings is set to be trialed in Florida. The Campus Guardian Angel is a Texas-based system that, while supporting the police and other responders, a trial will be rolled out in 3 Florida school districts after approval from Governor Ron DeSantis. Drones can be deployed within 5 seconds, with more than 60 school shootings incidents reported in Florida alone since 2018. According to the K-12 school shooting database, there's a database. Educators and lawmakers have urgently sought innovative approaches to school safety. The introduction of attack drones designed to respond to active shooters' threats in seconds aims to address the crucial window in which most fatalities occur and could represent a major shift in school security across the United States. If you don't think your kids to public school, then you don't have to worry about this. There was one just down the road. We saw yesterday on local news. Upscale, this high money area down, about 15 minutes that way. A bullet apparently went through one of the windows. So I don't know if it was actually shot at it, but it was maybe a drive-by or something. Judge temporarily blocks Texas 10 Commandments requirement in 11 school districts. The attorneys challenging the new state law hoped that other school districts won't implement it after a federal judge found it unconstitutional. I can't wait to read how he figured that out. The Texas federal judge on Wednesday temporarily blocked from taking full effect the new state law requiring public schools to display donated posters of the 10 Commandments in classrooms. The ruling only applies to the nearly dozen Texas school districts named in the lawsuit, though attorneys who brought forth the case expressed hope in court that other districts would not implement a law that the federal judge has now found unconstitutional. In his decision, U.S. District Federal Bret Baier concluded that the law favors Christianity over other faiths, is not neutral with respect to religion, and is likely to interfere with families exercise their sincere religious or non-religious beliefs in substantial ways. The oral arguments in the case, blah, 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 concluded Monday, represented by the ACLU of Texas. Another religious freedom organization sued the state over what lawyers call catastrophically unconstitutional legislation. In court, they argued with the lawyer from the state attorney general's office over the role founding fathers like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison played in developing the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment. Neither of those apply to this situation in Texas, which protects the freedom of religion. Both parties also debated the influence of the Ten Commandments on the country's legal and educational systems. Blah, 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 blah. Another group of parents filed a lawsuit similar in Dallas earlier this year. Anything in here? Oh, that's a problem. And no one knows U.S. history because First Amendment has nothing to do with this. Posting the Ten Commandments in public school is un-American and un-Baptist. What? Griff Martin, a pastor, parent and plaintiff in the ACLU lawsuit, said in a statement, SB 10 undermines the separation of church and state, which today would be an email that Jefferson sent to Danbury Baptist. And why they did that was because the Baptists in the area where they weren't the majority of the group, and there was already a state religion already there in the state they were in. And they were wondering if they were going to get pushed over. And he's like, no, there's a separation. That's the whole separation thing. He, in the sense of the federal government, was not going to do anything to them. Whole point of that. That's not like a wall because that you can't have it. It was the federal government cannot do anything to you people in Danbury. I think it's Connecticut. Because it's not the federal government's duty to do that. The state can do whatever it wants. Now, every state constitution probably has something religious in there about freedom of religion in there. Then it could be a violation of the Constitution of Texas, Connecticut, whatever. The First Amendment has absolutely nothing to do with this. Now, if you're a 14th Amendment incorporation progressive, then yes, because that's a progressive mindset to think that the First Amendment is from here to the Kingdom of Hoth, or the ice world Hoth, around the Stargate, back down to the around South America and back up. But what? Yeah, it has nothing to do with that. If Texas wants to do it, Texas should be allowed to do it. Let's see what the state is saying. Part of nation's history. Previous federal court, U.S. Supreme Court, blocking the commandments from going up to not do that. Blah, blah, blah. SB 10 does not favor. This is just a 14th Amendment insanity thing. Again, 14th Amendment did not do it. It was actually 14th Amendment was actually illegally pushed in. It actually wasn't even ratified correctly. Probably shouldn't even be on the books right now. But it's called the 14th Amendment Constitution. When everything, the Second Amendment is whatever a town does. You got to get out of that mindset. A lot of people hate that because then, say like a Second Amendment type deal thing, your state bans whatever in your town, or town bans this. That has nothing to do with the federal Constitution. It only applies to the state constitution. Hence why your state even has a constitution. Just bugs my mind in there. Really need to start growing my own vegetables now. Yep, exactly. Yep, it's easy. You can think about this. On top of all the how much it costs you to do, you can get a bag of seeds for $1 or $1.50, $2, $4 maybe. And then after one bolts, you got seeds from there. You get free seeds, like growing watermelon. I got sugar babies in the bag. Cost me $3 for the bag of seeds. Guess what? If I save the seeds, eat the seeds too, because seeds are very good for you, especially your male. Save the seeds, then you got free ones later. All you gotta do is just get them to germinate next year. You dry them off, put them in a cool place, store them, get ready for next year. Free seeds are perpetual. You can do that with everything too. And sure, it might be an up cost on getting the soil together, or you get the right bucket. however you would design it. Look up David the Good. They'll show you cheap ways to do it. He grew a plant off a plant. That was pretty. Anyway, we're getting off. The warning signs: the AI bubble is about to burst. Shock sell-off after study warns most investments in artificial intelligence got zero returns. In first post, you can now carry rifles, shotguns in Washington, D.C. without facing charges. New York, new policy after the Trump takeover. Federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. will no longer seek felony charges for carrying rifles or shotguns. U.S. Attorney Gian Perillo cites Supreme Court rulings and constitutional rights in line with Trump's law enforcement push. New details emerged on Fox hosts' efforts to bolster Trump in 2020. A shocker. I mean, the entire group behind him is all Fox people. In the 2020, worked so hard for the president party. And that's what you get. You get rewarded for bootlicking. The inexorable rise of Latin America's drug cartels, with the global cocaine business booming as never before. Organized crime groups are diversified into a swath or other illicit activities. I love it. Again. How one scientist used 1 billion butterflies to predict the weather. Standing in his own office in Bethesda, Maryland, meteorologist Jagadish Sukla gestured to the high-resolution satellite image map of India hung on the wall. It shows every groove his home country's geological landscape in vivid detail. 81 Spencer Day patterns. He writes in his memoir, 1 billion butterflies, a life in climate and chaos theory. Monsoons follow India's hottest period and last for months, providing both relief from the sun and fertility to the land. The butterfly effect. Yeah. If you want to see any of this, it's all in the show notes. Check it out and read. World's most secretive jet spotted over Area 51. The U.S. Air Force's top secret Rat 55 jet was spotted soaring over Area 51 in Nevada, confirming rumors that this radar plane operates from the clandestine Groom Lake facility. Aviation enthusiast Michael Rakita captured the aircraft from a vantage point 26 miles away near Tibabu Peak, documenting his touch-and-go maneuvers and final landing on runway 22. That must be the photo of it. Streamer found dead in bed after 10 days of torture and sleep deprivation. Streamer known for taking part in extreme online challenges must have been found dead. Known as Gene Pormanov, or JP, died following a live broadcast at his home in Contes village north of Nice on Monday. Jerusalem Post reports that world's first spinal cord transplant to take place in Israel could allow patients to walk again. Tel Aviv University announced on Wednesday that the surgery will take place in Israel, making a historic milestone in regenerative medicine. In other news, Israel enters first stage of planned assault on Gaza City to pretty much destroy everyone's spinal cords that remain. Israel gave final approval Wednesday for a settlement project that would effectively split the occupied West Bank into two, possibly destroying hopes for a future Palestinian state. There's that word again, state. You mean Palestinian country. Again, you see it all over, but you might not see what it means. Congratulations to Mormons. Mormon women now can wear the sacred underwear. Again, that's why I kept it Kyle Planet. China military parade to show off hypersonic missiles and autonomous weapons. Event will be closely watched for PLA's ability to target U.S. forces in the Pacific and attack Taiwan. Don't get why they used a photo of these women there yelling. In marijuana talk, Trump privately committed to reschedule Mary Jane multiple times since taking office, CEO says. There's been a lot of talk about that recently. Human hair toothpaste repairs enamel better than fluoride. And this is in King's College, London. And the reason why they did this is because this is banned in the EU. Hydroxyapatite, wherever you pronounce it. Anyway, this stuff works. Nanohydroxide. Well, I'm mispronouncing it, but whatever, because it improves an animal. It's the best. Your dentist will hate you for it because they're getting paid to push fluoride. But if you want, and trust me, I use it, my kids use it, we all use it. I have seen this stuff work. Get it. You can get it on Amazon, wherever. This is Dr. Jen's site with it. I just randomly picked it up. I found all this on Dr. Nicole blogspot, and that's what made me, because a friend of mine was having some mouth problems. I figured, let me see if there's something natural on there. Found this toothpaste, been using it. I thought I had some black lines in it. There's no more black lines, anything like that anymore. Really does work. Again, your dentist will hate you for it because you won't be seeing them anymore, because this stuff works. Like using flossing that destroys your gum. All kinds of things that they're taught that they hate, that people are now catching up on. Anyway, in health news, don't think I'm not a doctor. It's not this isn't a doctor voice on there, so use it at your own risk. It works for me. Anyway, God love you. Have a great rest of the day. Check out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment underneath. Everything's already in the show notes right now. Don't forget sensusfidelium.tv for the app. I am seeing the numbers go up. It's not much, but it's gone up 100,000 views since last month, and it was going down like a rock. So it started going up a little bit. So thank you guys for your help. Keep it going. We're still not there, nowhere near what it used to be. I'm doing a lot of changes on the channel, trying to beat the algorithm. So I'm hard at work trying to do that too. More things coming up. Got an interview with Keith Nestor coming up later. Just got done with him before we did this. And more things are coming, obviously. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. And I think I said everything I wanted to say. Anyway, there you go. Have a good one.